After a showery end to our April, we're heading into a warm midweek, but a wet first weekend of May on tap. We're going to be tracking all of that. Our headlines include clear skies, warmer weather. Tonight, we'll see the clear skies. Tomorrow, 80s making a return into the valley, and looking ahead, cooling with showers. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods, and we're going to be breaking down all of these up and down weather changes as we head through the end of April into the beginning of May. Now, we have a weak little weather feature that's moving off to the east. This is the one that brought us the weekend showers, not only for the Sierra, but also for the valley. We had that weather impact alert in place for the last weekend of April, and we indeed got those snow showers for the higher elevations. Under a ridge of high pressure, though, we're going to start to see sinking, warming air and a brief little warm up before the showery and unsettled weather makes a return. And it will be a little bit sooner for the Sierra. We have a weather feature moving just into parts of the Great Basin. So Sierra thunderstorms making a return, and then we start to see the presence of a low just off the coast that will continue with the chance of thunderstorms for the Sierra into our end of the work week forecast. Now, not all of that's going to be making its way into the valley. As you'll see, Tuesday is a dry start. We'll see warming conditions. By the time we get into our Wednesday outlook, that's when we start to see more instability and the chance of thunderstorms returning for the Sierra. Most of that is going to be south of Highway 50, and even some high elevation snow. Watch out along 395. Could see some of those snow showers popping up there. Moving into our Thursday, it becomes a bit more potentially widespread. And again, by Wednesday evening, still looking at isolated pockets of those snow showers as well as thunderstorm activity. 80-50 corridor south of Highway 50, and again towards Yosemite, and then along 395 continued snow showers. By Wednesday late in the evening, things start to clear out, but this will be a repeated pattern into Thursday and Friday. So we start to see clear skies during the morning, and then the increase in instability and the afternoon thunderstorms reappearing. Weather impact alert headlines. Now, we don't have an alert in place right now, but here's what we're going to be watching. The weekend changes, much cooler weather, plus the potential for rain and snow. So we'll be tracking those headlines very closely, especially because it once again hits us potentially into the weekend. So we'll keep those extended forecasts going on ABC 10 Plus. If you haven't downloaded that app for free, want to make sure to do so wherever you stream for free on TV, live, local, always on. Not only do we have our extended forecast, but we also have weather explainers and weather and climate specials. Check it out. Lots of content on there. Rain over the last 5 days. Well, this was mainly Friday, Saturday into Sunday. You can see it ranged anywhere from about 1/10 of an inch to closer to about 3/4 of an inch. Some of the bigger players in here, Stockton with nearly 3/4 of an inch of rain, Sonora with about 6/10 of an inch of rain, as well as Tracy. So some higher totals certainly seen in the northern San Joaquin Valley surrounding foothills, and then also towards the Tracy Triangle, just slightly under 3/4 of an inch of rain. Nice totals going on there. A little lighter, though, on the northern end of the valley. Our snow over the last 3 days, anywhere from about 2 to almost 15 inches of snow. So yes, we indeed got a foot of snow for places like Sugar Bowl, nearly that for Palisades, Tahoe, Boreal, Kirkwood, Sierra Tahoe, Soda Springs. Most of the resorts are closed, but kind of nice to see some of those late season snow totals coming in over the weekend. Timing not great, but nice to see some of that moisture. As far as our forecasted temperatures, we're going to see some of the peak warmth building midweek, and then all of a sudden we get right back to it. Unseasonably cool weather making a return for the first weekend of May, which indeed could put us in play for some more snow in the Sierra. Here's what we're tracking, our future moisture. We get that little pulse of moisture coming through into our Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday forecast. And given the orographic lift, we have the potential to see some of those thunderstorms there. Not so much for the valley. We'll be settled in under that ridge of high pressure. And then we see a better pulse of moisture coming in by the end of the week, a better tap of moisture to deliver the potential for more widespread rain and snow. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's just a chance of the Sierra thunderstorms. But then digging in deeper into that first weekend of May, that's when we start to see more widespread impacts. Haven't seen too much in the rain bucket here for April. We saw some showers on the first day of April, and then it took us all the way into the last weekend of April before we really started to see moisture return. That puts us at roughly about a quarter of an inch of rain for the month, well below average. We usually average just slightly under an inch and a half. As far as rainy weekends, the timing hasn't been great as of late. We've had 6 of 17 weekends come in as wet. That puts us at 35% since January 1st. Slightly better than last year. Last year, at this point, we had almost 50% of our weekends were wet. So we're a little bit below that, but that's largely because we didn't see a whole lot of rain in the month of January, which tends to be our wettest month of the year. Now, in terms of our last rainy day, last year it was May 4th, 2023, May 6th. So we're really edging towards what could be potentially this coming weekend as the last rainy weekend and even rainy day that we see until we get back to next October, because pretty much we're drying out after this. 2022, though, it was June 5th when we saw that last rainy day. The year prior to that, it was March 18th. And then 2020, May 17th. So we're really starting to get in that window of where we start to see our precipitation just absolutely shut down. By June, July, August, we basically don't see anything all the way through September. May usually totals about 3/4 of an inch of rain. Again, we ended April on a dry note. March was actually a little bit drier than average as well. With that being said, I wanted to check in on those major reservoir supply numbers, and we're still running at about 90 to 97% capacity. So those reservoirs are full. They're beautiful right now. It just showcases how much water we have as we head through the drier months. We're well above average for all of our major reservoirs, including Shasta, Trinity, and Oroville, as well as Don Pedro, New Melones. Those are big reservoirs here for California. San Luis even above average. That's an off-stream pumped reservoir. Adds a lot of flexibility to our water supply because it's not necessarily driven by snowmelt. It is driven by how much water we can store there. So it's kind of diverted, stored there, pushed through the Delta, and then downstream into the California aqueduct. So that's a really good indicator of what we're going to be able to serve California with for water into the drier summer months. Looking at our water year so far, as I mentioned, March ended up on a dry note. April was on a dry note. February well above average, but January is where we got hit hard. It's hard to make up deficits when we only get about a half an inch of rain in January, since that tends to be our wettest month of the year. November was unseasonably wet, but December was pretty much average. So all in all, most of the months have been drier than average, with just a couple of outliers, that being November and March. The 8 to 14 day climate outlook calls for pretty much we're going to be near average here heading into the first week of May, but likely wetter as well. Most of that is going to be driven by what's coming in this weekend, putting us in a slightly above average category. Snow level forecast, this is very preliminary. Just want to set the stage on that. We're still roughly 5 to 7 days out from this weather event coming in, but it does look like we have the potential to see those snow levels drop down once again to about 5,000 feet. Just a heads up on that. So how does this all play out? Well, we see that little weather feature off the coast here, driving in some of the moisture and instability for the Sierra Wednesday into Thursday and again on Friday. The valley is dry until we get to our Saturday forecast. At that point, we're going to start to see more widespread impacts with the potential for rain, snow in the Sierra that looks likely to linger into our Sunday. Where do we have moderate to high confidence compared to lower confidence? Well, we're fairly confident it is going to be cooler than average with some showers. Where we have the lower confidence is the location of those showers, the snow level as well as rain and snow totals. That's where you want to stay tuned to the forecast to get the precise details, especially since it is hitting over the weekend. Highs for tomorrow, though, we're on the warming trend. Near 60 for the higher elevations, 70s to near 80 throughout the foothills. As we travel closer to the coast, highs are in the 60s, inland areas, upper 70s to near 80. And for the Central Valley, we'll start the morning off still in the 40s to near 50, but then highs rebound nicely with ample sunshine back into the low to mid 80s, slightly above average here for our Tuesday and Wednesday forecast before we start to see some cooler and showery, more widespread weather for the weekend. Now, again, for this year, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, slight chance of those afternoon and evening thunderstorms, and then dry for the morning hours. For the foothills, we'll hold off on those rain chances until Saturday. The only caveat is we're trying to see how far down the hill those thunderstorms will pop up. Very likely the upper foothills could see a few isolated thunderstorms. For the coast, we're going to keep it dry until we get to the weekend forecast, then breezy and still that chance of showers coming in. So our extended forecast calls for the warming weather to take shape during the middle of the week. We start off May on a nice warm note, and then just like that, within 24 hours, we start to see the cooler weather arrive by the end of the work week into the weekend. Again, watching that forecast, how long those showers will linger. It looks like it's a real quick rebound once again by the following week, back into the 70s to near 80.